joins us live in studio here on the backside of this hour with recommendations for your summer reading list. But we commence this hour, as promised, with Professor and Baltimore City radio host Dr. K. Wise Whitehead on the upcoming Critical Race Theory Summer School presented by the African American Policy Forum. Dr. K, how are you today? Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Maybe your mute button is on.
Hey, Tavis, how are you? It's always a pleasure to be on live with you.
There you go. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm up in Martha's Vineyard, just getting ready for our critical race theory school that's happening here in 3 weeks. I'm going Nashville first and then back up here.
So tell me, let's jump right in. We'll get to Kamala Harris and a few other things, I'm sure, in this half hour, now that I have you. Hint, hint, hint. But let's start with Critical Race Theory Summer School. What is this all about?
So it is organized by the African American Policy Forum, which you know is headed up by Professor Kimberly Crenshaw.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the superintendent, and it gives us a week where we're saying no U-turn on racial justice. We are picking up on Freedom Summer 1964, and we're saying the way that they organized, got together kind of in the same spirit as the Highlander Institute. We're going to be down in Nashville, Tennessee, the tip of the spear, and we're going to be organizing. We're going to be getting together. We have Michael Eric Dyson is going to join us. We have Nancy McClain from Project 2025 doing that research going to join us. And Representative Justin Jones is going to be there. He said, if you want to understand Project 2025, look at Nashville 2024. So we're going down to look at Nashville 2024 and get built up so we can push back.
Yep. Give me more about what the curriculum for this summer school program actually looks like. You mentioned the speakers. What's the curriculum like?
So we're going to be both in person and virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So we begin our mornings every day with the homeroom, and we'll have Professor Kimberly Crenshaw in conversation with a scholar talking about what are the key points at stake right now if we're looking at DEI. So is diversity, equity, and inclusion, is it dead on arrival? Mm-hmm. Do we have to fight back? What does diversity, equity, inclusion look like in this moment? How do we frame Project 2025 through a DEI lens? So we'll start from homeroom. We have a plenary every day, and we have invited professors, speakers, researchers, and writers who are well-versed in this area who are going to come on for a virtual plenary Tuesday through Friday and a live in-person plenary Sunday and Monday. And then in the afternoons, you have a choice of either doing an intensive where you can sit with Professor Crenshaw and talk about the hashtag Say Her Name movement, thinking about Sonia Massey at this moment, or sit with Michael Eric Dyson and talk about Black genealogy and our history, our past, present, and future. If you are concerned about Project 2025, Nancy McClain is going to do an intensive. It's a 5-day seminar. Or you can go virtual for a breakout room. I'm doing a virtual breakout room on Is Our History Contraband? So we have spaces where you can engage if you're in Tennessee or if you want to join us virtually.
Let me ask you a couple of things right quick. To your particular virtual session, Is Our History Contraband? Top line that for me. Break it down.
So what we're going to talk about is when we start talking about contraband history, it is this notion that this push to ban Black history is situating as if it's something that is a hands-off issue, as if it's something that's not a part of the American story, as if our history is separate from America's history. And I am making the argument in my breakout that Black history is American history. And the only reason that we can understand where we are at this moment is because we spent time delving deep into our history. So we're pushing back with this contraband notion around who we are as people, what we've done in this country, what are our contributions, who does America really belong to, and how do we reclaim democracy in our own name and in our own image.
Talking with Dr. K. Wise Whitehead, brilliant talk show host in her own right in Baltimore City, the founder and executive director of the Carson Institute for Race, Peace, and Social Justice. But we're talking right now about the critical race theory summer school. It starts July 28th and runs through August the 2nd. And she's knee-deep in that, along with Kimberly Williams Crenshaw, Michael Eric Dyson, and others that she mentioned. When we come forward, this will be one of the subjects at the summer school session. But I want to get Kay's take specifically on the intersection as she sees it, the parallel, what the rub is, pick your phrase, between Project 2025 and DEI. She made that point earlier, but I want to get her read on what she sees, the intersection being, the rub being between Project 2025, we know that Republican agenda, and DEI as we know it. We'll do that and a great deal more when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From the Mert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Oh, man. Looks like Bobby needs a ride to the airport again.
Grab the keys.
Who's taking Auntie and her friends to the swap meet?
Grab the keys.
How about we, drop these boxes off at Miss Johnson?
Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, you're all about getting things done. So do it all in a Chevy SUV. From the versatile Equinox and sporty Blazer to the roomy Traverse, our lineup of SUVs will carry you through every adventure. All you have to do is
grab the keys.
That's how we do. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Dr. K. Dr. K. Wise Whitehead, as we talk about the CRT Summer School, starts July 28th, runs through August the 2nd, and I'm pleased to have her on this program to sort of tee that up for us. You mentioned a moment ago, Kay, that one of the subjects that will be covered, the topics covered at this summer school is Project 2025, and what its ends and aims are as it relates to DE&I. Tell me more.
So I'm glad you brought that up, and I thank you, of course, Tavis, for inviting me on to the show. Project 2025 has become this kind of dog whistle, because people are acting like it's new and it's getting people alarmed. Project 2025 goes back, this kind of mandate for change in leadership goes back to the days of Ronald Reagan. Mm-hmm. It was a plan laid out by the Republican Party of how they can begin to adjust this country, make it a lot more conservative, and really pull it back from the throes of the civil rights movement. That was the goal, was to think about how we can get it back in their mind to what it used to be, where it really focused on uplifting white men with property going all the way back to the Constitutional Convention. So when people are talking about it now, and they're like, oh, my goodness, what is it? Every single stride that has been made in this country when it comes to people of color, when it comes to women, are completely against what Project 2025 wants. They want to get rid of public school education. Why? Because it's in public school education where young white kids are learning that they're not the center of American history. They don't want these young kids to grow up and be voters who join the Progressive Party, who join the Democratic wing. You have to keep them very narrowly understanding and educated in order to be able to continue with this legacy that you have built. It is completely against DEI because diversity, equity, inclusion, and add the J for justice is about opening up these spaces that have traditionally been held by white men. Sometimes we can add mediocre white men, because just because you're in power doesn't mean you're qualified to be in power. Maybe your daddy was, or your granddaddy was, and you just kind of got moved into that position because of who you are and where you've been. But this world is built upon them. Project 2025 is getting it back to that, which means when we rise, they're feeling that they are losing out. And the only way to change that is to begin to shift everything from body autonomy to the ways in which we talk about Black history, to what happens with public school education, to who is it in charge of our government, and the ways in which we go forward. So people are probably not going to read the 925-page document, even though Taraji P. Henson said go get it. What they should do is go get the 47-pager, which is kind of really what I call like Project 2025 for Dummies. And I say that jokingly, right? But it's 46 to 47 pages that breaks down just the key parts of Project 2025. So you will know exactly what we're fighting both for and against.
I want to ask you now, Kay, the ways in which you perceive or feel, what your gut tells you, about the way that CRT is going to be politicized in this campaign. But I want to put us in the proper frame. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know or haven't talked about repeatedly on your own program there in Baltimore City. But you see, and they've been at this for quite some time, but it's become a lot more intense since Sunday when Joe Biden told us he was going to stand down last night in his speech to the nation. He gave us a bit more about his decision, why he made it. Once again, a full-throated endorsement of Kamala Harris, his VP, to be the Democratic Party standard bearer and president, he hopes. Many of us hope of these United States come November. But we already see them labeling her, the right that is labeling her as the DEI candidate. And they're going hard on that. So clearly, DE&I, CRT is going to get politicized. It was going to get politicized anyway with her just being on the ticket. But now that she is the presumptive nominee leading the ticket, I can't imagine the ways in which we're going to see CRT and DEI get trashed, get demonized, get politicized between now and November. Tell me what you're bracing yourself for.
I think that Black folks and all people of color and women and anyone who is in alignment with the ways in which our country needs to look at gender equality, you just need to get ready. It is going to be a racist, sexist, misogynistic 100 days up to the convention and then up until the actual election in November. It didn't just start on Sunday. I mean, they've been attacking Kamala Harris in a quiet way for years. Just the throws have gotten louder ever since Sunday. And I do appreciate Joe Biden making that decision. I am a little bit annoyed saying, hey, you want us to come in and clean this thing up with 100 days left? Like, it's a lot that we have to lift. And I'm glad that Black folks got mobilized on Sunday night so we can stand in the gap to help Sister Kamala get to the White House. We know what they're looking to attack. There is no rhyme or reason. So you can't say she's not qualified because in addition to being vice president for 3.5 years, she's also been a senator. She's also been an attorney general. You can't say that. You can't say it's about her age because she's younger than Donald Trump. You can't say that she doesn't know what's going on when it comes to domestic and international policy. Like, they no longer have anything to fight her with. So now they're trying to figure out the only thing that's left is to kind of think about her in terms of being a Black woman. I know folks in the Republican Party are saying, hey, don't take the racist, sexist stance on this because Black men in particular have said we're not going to stand by this time. I think Black men, this is their moment because I expected Black men to stand up when Sister Anita Hill was attacked. They did not. They are saying on these calls, protect Black women. It's Black men that are going to the Republican Party, and we've got to get them back in line with understanding that when Kamala Harris wins, when the Democratic Party wins, essentially we all win. Like, those are the voters that we're trying to pull back. It's Black men and white women who were in alignment with us, with Hillary Rodham Clinton, got into that booth and they chose their sons over themselves. We got to pull them back as well. So the fight is not just against the Republican dog whistle around, DEI. It's also around the ways in which Black men have strategically left the party and white women will get in there and vote against their own best interest as a woman to vote in the interest of their son.
I'm reading the same things you're reading, and it's fascinating to kind of track this because there are smarter folks, more strategic folks. I hear your point earlier about mediocre white men. They're not always the best just because they're there. Sometimes they are, in fact, mediocre. But I hear the more strategically wise persons in the Republican Party telling the party, stand down on the racism, stand down on the sexism. That is not going to work for us. if we go too hard on the racism, too hard on the sexism. I hear that. But here's what here's what I also know. I know what I hear, but I know what I know. And what I know is that it takes a whole lot of discipline for them to get everybody aligned on that message. And you see examples already of people on the right going off the range on the sexism, on the racism. So my first question is, can that advice hold? Will it hold, number one, with regard to the right writ large? But you see my second point, you know where I'm going. It's one thing for the wise persons on the right to say, don't play the race card, don't play the sex card, but look at your nominee. There's no way in the world your nominee is not going to play the race card. There's no way in the world he's not going to play the sex card. So I hear that advice, and it is good, strategically sound advice, I think, to not play the race or the sex card. I don't know, number one, whether that advice can hold, and I don't know, number two, if their nominee can discipline himself enough not to do that.
You can't ask a racist and a sexist and a misogynist to stand down on the talking points that have carried him through his entire life. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump is not just someone who is reading racist material, reading sexist material. He embodies white supremacy. He embodies sexism and misogyny. Donald Trump had two opportunities to put a woman in and end up with mediocre white men both times. Even worse with J.D. Vance, right? It's like you just looked around for whoever was there, whoever kissed the ring the hardest. To me, that's your DEI candidate right there. Yeah. Unqualified to be in the room, been around for 2 minutes, kissed the ring the hardest, and now he's running as the vice presidential nominee. I hear what the wiser, and I say wiser in quotations, it's just Republicans who are like, we got to shut these black folks up. We got to shut these women folk up so we can get Project 2025 off the ground. And if that means acting like that's not an issue, let's just play the game. You can't do that when the head of the party is who he is. It's like my dad said, if an alligator gives you a ride across the creek, he can say, I'm not going to eat you. Halfway through when he does, you can't be surprised. Why? Because it's an alligator. You cannot be surprised when people do exactly what they've always done. This is not Donald Trump being something other than who he is. He has won 3 times as being the nominee, the choice. 3 times those balloons have fallen on Donald Trump because he is who he is. You cannot convince a man who's gotten this far with that behavior that let's try a new strategy. It won't work because that strategy got me to the White House the first time.
I've asked this question of others. I've not asked it of you, Kay, and I ask it again because it's going to come up time and time again between now and November and very well may make the difference. So give me your thoughts, one, on whether or not you think white women will get Kamala's back. I saw I saw an email circulating in the last 48 hours. It came to me, even though I'm not a white woman. It came to me just as we saw the call with all the sisters the other night, 44,000. We saw the call with all the brothers, 56,000. I saw an email circulating around the last 48 hours about a call of white women for Kamala Harris. So there's a big call that either already happened or is being organized. Don't ask me. I'm not a white woman, but there is a call that either has happened or is about to happen of white women who are going to get Kamala Harris's back. At least those on the call wheel. The broader question is whether or not how you see white women playing in this election. Donald Trump would not have been president were it not for white women. You know that data as well as I do. But the other thing I want to get to, and I don't like to ask 2 questions at once, but you're a talk show host, you can handle it, and I will stand down. So the first question is about white women, but the second question is this. Let me preface it before people get the wrong impression. I am not suggesting that this is a reason to not vote for Kamala Harris. That ain't my point. Don't be stuck on stupid. My point is that we saw the backlash, or if I can call it this, the white lash that came after Obama's election. If you thought there was a backlash or a white lash after Obama's election, then you know it's going to happen again if Kamala gets elected. Talk to me about that part, Kay Wise Whitehead.
Okay, so the first thing in terms of organizing white women, if we go back, and I brought up Clinton Trump. Trump wouldn't be in the White House if it wasn't for white women who abandoned the party.
That's right.
And jumped lines to vote for Donald Trump. Here's the difference, which I think is really exciting that people aren't really focused on. The difference is the Dobbs decision.
Yeah.
Striking down Roe v. Wade mobilized white women because they had so much to lose. Let's look at the places where after Roe was struck down, all of those abortion laws that were immediately enacted, like Texas, for example, the largest number of people choosing to terminate their pregnancy in Texas was college-educated white women. The folks that are coming out now saying, I no longer have choices down south are college-educated white women. That Roe strike down, that now personalized Dobbs decision is for a lot of women. That is that issue, which is why they started riding for Joe Biden. Doesn't mean they like the Democratic Party completely. It's just that we no longer want to follow when someone tells us that we don't have control over our body and our choices. The second piece is J.D. Vance, who is also a sexist and a misogynist, making a comment and telling abused women, stay in the relationship for the sake of the children. That's 1930s talk. Like that's grandmothers telling their daughters who are telling their granddaughters, we don't do that anymore. We actually have choices. We are educated, and we can leave. We don't have to stay in violence for the sake of our children. So those two things alone are getting white women motivated to say, you know what, it's bigger than the Democrats. It's bigger than dealing with health care.
Yeah.
It's bigger than dealing with our schools. We're talking about our own personal bodily autonomy. And taking that from white women got them mobilized, woke them up, particularly across the South. The second piece, which is, I also am not saying you shouldn't not vote for Kamala. Like, I'm with you. Don't get stuck on stupid.
Yeah.
Let's not use the conversation so you can use that. So what Dr. K says, I'm not saying that.
That's right.
I am saying that we have to recognize the moment that we are in, we are beyond having to debate whether or not this is the best time for Kamala. When Joe Biden made that decision through a tweet, which I did not even agree with his way of letting us know, I'm out, y'all. You know, Kamala's your girl. Let's do it. You made the decision for us. So we have to mobilize around her.
Yeah.
Once the big money folks turn the spigot back on and pulled in $100 million, Kamala is a presumptive nominee. White lash coming or not, right? Ovary lash coming or not, testicle lash coming or not, Kamala Harris is the presumptive nominee. And for the Democratic Party, what we need to do, make sure now, she's got to get a white man on her side who can be the pit bull that she cannot be when it comes to dealing with these white men, and we got to make our way to the White House, and then we have to hold her accountable. I'm like, come on, black, brown folks and women, don't just let Kamala in there and assume she's going to raise the dead and walk on water by herself. We got to vote all the way down the line so she can make sure that she has the support she needs for the changes that we have to have coming in this country.
Nope, it's like FDR told A. Philip Randolph, go out and make me do it. Go out and me do it.
That's what I'm saying.
And black folk never want to hear that part. I'm down with supporting Kamala, but we're gonna have to make her do it because she's the head of the American empire. You got to push them.
Yeah.
And so I digress in that regard. The last 60 seconds, I yield to UK to just tee up once again the CRT Summer School. Give us all the details.
Thank you so much. Critical Race Theory Summer School, our 5th annual virtual summer school, starts July 28th, runs through August 2nd. You can go to the African American Policy Forum, Critical Race Theory Summer School website. You can just Google all those words. It will come up. Secondly, if you are somewhere near Tennessee and you really want to come to the tip of the spear to be in community with us, just sign up for the in-person, which also runs from July 28th to August 2nd. I will be on the ground. I am broadcasting live from CRT Summer School. I'm handling one of the breakouts. Kimberly Crenshaw is going to be there. Mike Dyson is going to be there. Representative Justin Jones is going to be there. Nancy McClain is going to be there. Tim Wise is going to be there. We want you there as well. This is what we call the Highlander School training. How do you beat them? You got to get organized. You got to get ready. You got to fight back, and you got to have a plan.
She's the best talk show host in Baltimore City, and you understand why. Her name is Dr. K. Wise Whitehead, founder and executive director of the Carson Institute for Race, Peace, and Social Justice, best-selling author, documentarian, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just a brilliant sister in her own right. Kay, good to talk to you. We'll do it again soon. All the best to you. Thank you. More of Tavis Smiley. We got James Fugate coming in studio to give you a summer reading list. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Unapologetically progressive. Unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A challenge filed by the Trump campaign to block Vice President Kamala Harris from campaign funds that were designed for the joint Biden-Harris ticket will go before the FEC commissioners. Donald Trump's presidential campaign claims that Harris deceptively snatched funds contributed to a different candidate in the launch of her own presidential campaign. 2 more Massachusetts state troopers are under an internal affairs investigation over the Karen Reed murder case. Reed is accused of killing her Boston cop boyfriend in 2022 by running him over with her SUV and leaving him to die in a snowstorm. Her defense team claimed that she was set up by law enforcement, and a judge declared a mistrial earlier this summer after jurors said that they were deadlocked. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Spectacular savings are happening now at Mattress Firm's July 4th sale. You can get a Sleepy's Queen mattress for just $89.99, the lowest price ever. Upgrade, save, and celebrate before it's too late. Offer ends Tuesday. In-store only while supplies last. Restrictions apply.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
This is a very sad day for NBA fans who watch NBA games on TNT. For the past 35 years, TNT has been one of the NBA's broadcast partners. Barring legal action, the relationship will end after next season. TNT is not included in the NBA's new broadcast package with ESPN, ABC, NBC, and newcomer Amazon Prime. It's a $76 billion deal over 11 years. Amazon is replacing TNT, which means the upcoming season will be the last for the iconic Inside the NBA studio show featuring Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson. TNT put up $1.8 billion to match Amazon's offer, but the NBA rejected it, preferring to go with Amazon's 200 million subscribers in 23 countries. The NBA needs to rethink this. Inside the NBA is the best studio show in sports. Folks are not going to be happy to see the NBA walk away from them. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We must understand the politics of our community, and we must know what part politics play in our lives.
Questions about black voters, their disengagement, lack of information, and support or lack thereof for Democratic candidates have once again taken center stage as Democrats, Republicans, and independent candidates compete for this critical voting bloc. Will black voters abandon Democrats in this election, move historic numbers of votes toward the Republican nominee, or will they continue a decades-long trend of overperforming for Democratic candidates up and down the ballot? The stakes have never been higher for Black America. Tune in to KBLA's new show, The Black Pack, hosted by veteran political strategist Adrian Shropshire, every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for a breakdown of the issues, rhetoric, polling, and more this election year. It's The Black Pack with Adrian Shropshire, Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Hey guys, do you want male performance in the bedroom and do you want it now? Get it in 47 seconds or less. For the first time, you can have instant male enhancement. Introducing Nox 47, the topical male enhancement that works in 47 seconds or less. Satisfaction guaranteed. Finally, after years of scientific research, our proprietary formula will allow you to perform in the bedroom like never before. Just imagine that little blue pill on steroids. No reason to settle and wait when you can get instant performance now. Forget about pills and potions that make you wait hours or up to 30 days to work. That's yesterday's news. Nox 47 is brand new. The hottest thing for men. And you don't need a prescription. Call now and get your free supply for a limited time.
To find out how to get Nox 47 for free, call now. 800-617-1621. That's 800-617-1621. Free bottles for limited time. Call 800-617-1621. That's 800-617-1621.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
What a spirited show this has been. What a spirited week this has been. Just so many great guests all week long, and I ain't done yet. Please welcome back to the studio our dear friend and brother, long time, now retired, semi-retired bookseller James Fugate, all across the nation. Everybody knows and has heard of the famed bookstore here in Leimert Park, right around the corner from this studio for 30 years, it seems, SO1. James Fugate, one of the co-owners of SO1, and sort of stepped back from that role, but he's still as passionate and avid and voracious a reader as he always has been, whether he's inside the store, standing behind the counter or not. So when it comes to suggested readings for you, I always call my friend James Fugate to tell me, to ask him to share with us what's out, what should be on our list as we move through the summer. I got some traveling to do this summer, and so I need to put some stuff in my bag to read as I move around. So James Fugate, first of all, it's good to see you. How are you, sir?
I am doing good. It's good to be back here at the studio, which I listen to almost every day.
Thank you, sir.
And I can't believe, as I've said to you and a young man that brought me in, I miss Leonard Pitts. How is that possible?
Yeah, he was just
I miss Leonard Pitts.
Yeah, speaking of best-selling authors,
tonight
he is.
At Book Soup.
He is. If you're in Southern California, Leonard Pitts Jr., Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for many years at the Miami Herald, just an amazing guy, now a novelist, has a new book out called 54 Miles, a novel. He was in studio earlier, in case you missed that. He's in town for a big event tonight, reading and signing at Book Soup. For those in Southern California, he's at Book Soup tonight up on Sunset in West Hollywood. We all know where that is. So Leonard Pitts there tonight at 7 p.m. So let me just make the most of the time we have. It's getting tight already. So the first book on our list for recommended reading is 54 Miles by Leonard Pitts Jr. Because if I don't say that, Leonard's going to call me and say, hey.
Oh, I got it, yeah.
You had James in studio, and you didn't put my book on the recommended reading list?
Oh, yeah.
So the first book on the list is 54 Miles, a novel by Leonard Pitts Jr. James Fugate, take it away.
So the next book, there's going to be a book next year about black bookstores. That she did a long interview with me to talk about Eswan and Thomas Hamilton and myself, what we did with Eswan, and then asked, what are my top 10 list? One book that always makes it is The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. It has been republished again this year by Penguin Random House with an introduction, as you see, by Henry Louis Gates, who does a series introduction. But then the second person is Jervis Givens, who is a graduate of King Drew Medical Magnet. We did his very first book signing down at King Drew a few years ago, which is on the educational philosophy of Carter G. Woodson. He has done an introduction which is worth buying this book again just for his introduction. He shows you how this book comes about, the politics that were played, the money involved, because you see I bookmarked a little page there. But there's a part where he talks about how Dr. Du Bois and Carter G. Woodson wanted to do an encyclopedia, and you had an author on last year, Chad. He did a book on World War I and blacks, and how after that Du Bois wanted to do this encyclopedia.
That's right.
But you saw how the white philanthropic money comes in and really hurts their efforts. So that's one book I would highly recommend.
Let me ask you right quick, just watching our time. You got a big stack
Yes.
of books in front of you. I want to move through all of them in this half hour. Why? I'm not even asking this, but again, as a longtime bookseller at an iconic and historic African-American bookstore, SO1 here in Southern California, why is Carter G. Woodson's book, The Miseducation of the Negro, perennially a bestseller?
Written in 1934, it really talks about what happened to that generation of blacks who come out of slavery, that first generation of born out of slavery, and how systematically white supremacy worked to reinforce the fact that they felt they were superior, to keep them in poverty, to keep them working at low wages, and then how blacks play into that. I mean, there's one famous line where they say, you don't have to tell the slave anymore to go to the back door. They go automatically.
Yeah.
And if there is no back door, they'll cut one for themselves.
That's right.
And so it's a magnificent book. And rereading it again, you know, I'm struck with it that this does need to continually be on the best-selling list, because if you can change one mind and make them realize you have to challenge, just like you've talked all this week about these ignorant black men who are talking about supporting Donald Trump. I mean, if that is the most sickening thing I've ever heard in my life.
So you recommend this book to those Negroes?
Oh, definitely. So,
all right.
Trying not to say anything crazy. I'm sorry about that.
We've got
yes.
no. We've got 54 Miles, a novel by Leonard Pitts Jr. at the top of our list. We've got Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro, on our list. Keep it going, James.
Second book, also Los Angeles author like Jarvis is Gary Phillips. Caught that I almost said Gregory Phillips, but it's Gary Phillips. Los Angeles, born and bred. Ash, As Dark as Night, takes place in the Watts riots shortly thereafter. It's the second book in his Gary Ingram book. As you see, he does this fabulous map of Los Angeles at that time, and where there were these different places that black people went to. But Gary's a very good writer. And this is the second book in the series. It's so good. I won't even try to give away the plot, but it gives a lot of history. It leads up to what's going to happen with the Black Panther Party. It's very good. And it's great summer reading.
Yeah, Gary reminds me of, and I dare not make comparisons, but this is a Harry Ingram mystery.
Yes.
His protagonist is Harry Ingram.
Yes.
He reminds me in many ways of the great Walter Mosley, who was just here some weeks ago. And again, I'm not making comparisons, but if you're into that kind of mystery, Easy Rollins stuff, Walter Mosley, you will not be disappointed with Gary Phillips. His, again, protagonist is Harry Ingram, and the book is called Ash Dark as Night.
Yeah, I would have recommended Farewell Amethysta.
Yeah.
But you already had Walter on,
and
so I passed on that one. But
all right.
Yes, the next one is A True Story of Slavery, the United States Governed by 600,000 Despots. This is a book that was discovered in Australia, where this brother, who was born in slavery in early 1850s or maybe the mid 1850s, and then leaves the United States, and he does not have the restrictions of the abolitionist movement and those people that were trying to restrict how black people wrote, and he gives a scathing critique of slavery, but not. He goes into really how horrible it was. And so they discovered this manuscript in Australia about 2 years ago, and the University of Chicago Press published it. Front page of the New York Times about 2 months ago. I saw
that story. Yeah.
I didn't know if you had him on. I said, I
haven't had him on yet, but I saw the story.
I saw when I was looking at books, I said, oh no, he's had him on. He's had the Black Tax on, so you can't bring that in because they've already been on there. But this one is really a book to really read. It's raw, but it's real. It's what people went through. It's even what people go through today when they are forced into these menial jobs, aren't given adequate education to help themselves out of poverty. It's one thing for these black Republicans. Yeah. You had Byron Daniels on here one day. It's one thing for them to sit up here and say, pull yourself up by the bootstrap. But if you don't give them the tools,
that's right,
the schools to do that, they're going to end up like brothers and sisters and our relatives.
You said Byron Daniels, you meant Byron Donald.
Byron Donald.
That's the black brother Republican from Florida who y'all saw sitting next to Donald Trump in his box all week at the Republican convention.
A FAMU graduate, no less. On your program, he says he was a party boy at FAMU, and it's not until he goes to a predominantly white grad school that he began to learn stuff. I worked at FAMU.
Yeah.
I know that those people there were serious. It has one of the best pharmacy schools in the country for black people. It has one of the best business schools for anybody in the country. And for this guy to sit up here and say he was a party boy.
James ain't having it, y'all. James ain't feeling that. This book, once again, is called The United States Governed by 6,000 Despots, a true story of slavery. As you heard James say, it is a rediscovered narrative, front page New York Times, so you should add it to your reading list. The author is John Swanson Jacobs. Once again, The United States Governed by 6,000 Despots by John Swanson Jacobs. So there are 3 or 4 books already. We got more. I see another stack in front of James Fugate. Some more books to recommend to you for your summer reading list when we come forward with James Fugate on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Just a few short months ago, California Attorney General Rob Bonta filed 11 felony charges against Diana Turan, an assistant district attorney for Los Angeles County. The charges allege that Turan unlawfully accessed confidential computer data, including police officer files in 2018, and continued to use them after joining the DA's office in 2021. Ironically, Turan, who is now on administrative leave, oversaw the Public Integrity Division responsible for handling high-profile cases of police misconduct and public corruption, including the charges brought against LA City Council member Karen Price last June. To be sure, the case against Price has raised plenty of eyebrows. Indeed, one noted legal scholar has said publicly, and I quote, "Everything about this prosecution reeks," close quote. Could A.G. Bonta, with aspirations to become California governor, be punishing Turan for her role in D.A. George Gascon's police accountability agenda to curry favor with police unions? Could D.A. Gascon be using the case against Price to showcase his tough stance on crime and political corruption as he vies to retain his seat as DA? Honestly, I have no idea, but here's what I know for sure. Karen Price has been elected and re-elected by thousands of voters, mostly black and brown, who stand to be further disenfranchised if this matter is not handled correctly, which is why it matters to us at KBLA Talk 1580. when the prosecutor is being prosecuted, it seems to me that at the very least, there ought to be a thorough, top-to-bottom, independent review of all cases under Diana Taran's purview to ensure that none of these cases have been tainted. Justice and fundamental fairness demand no less, if public trust truly matters. And I hope it does. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Tavis Smiley. We welcome your feedback.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
It does indeed with James Fugate. We know our friend and brother for many, many decades now as one of the co-owners. He and Brother Tom, the SO1. And if you've ever been in Southern California and were looking for a black bookstore, this is the one that everybody went to for many, many years here in Leimert Park, at one point over on La Brea, and then it moved into Leimert Park. But they just an iconic bookstore. And we may get a quick conversation before I lose him at the top of the hour about the state of black bookstores. But just some wonderful work over the years. And I think of all the people, right quick, James, all the authors who came through SO1 over the years. I mean, everybody from presidents on down.
Maya.
Yeah.
Toni Morrison, Walter Mosley.
Yeah.
Terry McMillan. I mean,
everybody. Don't even get started on that
for
list,
somebody that loved books growing up, and then chose the book industry to go into, to meet all of these people that you love.
Sure.
It was an amazing
Nikki Giovanni,
30-something years. And Nikki was here yesterday.
She was here. Yeah, she was. You know my rundown better than I do, man. Yeah, I'm glad you listened. I appreciate
told you, even when we had SO1 and you had gone on the air, the first thing you do is look at Facebook, find out who's coming on.
Yeah.
And now, as I say, I tell people all the time, you miss something, well, you have the evening rebroadcast.
We do here locally.
But then you have this podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah. No excuse.
No excuse.
I'm going to catch you one way or the other.
You had
live, on repeat, syndication, podcast. I'm going to get you wherever I'm going to find you.
I hope you'll have Dr. Karanga on again soon.
We will, of course.
He was incredible when you had him on, maybe February.
Yeah,
but I'd love to hear him break down this historic victory that Kamala Harris is going to have. Or Cornel West, who does the foreword to our new book.
Give it to me.
The new book is called Black Intellectuals and Black Society. It's written by Martin Kilson, who was one of Cornell's professors at Harvard.
That's right.
Martin was a brilliant black philosopher. He is not as well known publicly, but this book just came out maybe earlier this month. Just got it. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but it covers all of the major black intellectuals of the last century and what their thought meant to our people. And I just had to include it, especially because presidential candidate Cornel West does the foreword, and I have read the foreword, and it's very moving.
You can, if you know Cornel West, and obviously you know that I know Cornel West very well. He was on this program earlier this week. If you know Cornel West, you will never engage him in conversation about his backstory without him telling you all about Professor Kilson. Martin L. Kilson was his teacher, this black man, historic in terms of tenure, etc., at Harvard. That was Dr. West's teacher. So if you are a fan of Cornel West and you want to know his backstory, get this book. It's called Black Intellectuals and Black Society, Martin L. Kilson, with a foreword by Dr. Cornel West. Our remaining moments with James Fugate with recommendations for your summer reading list when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found BenefitsCheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. BenefitsCheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and James Fugate. Okay, we run the list again right quick. 54 Miles, a novel by Leonard Pitts Jr. The Miseducation of the Negro, Carter G. Woodson, perennial bestseller. A Harry Ingram mystery, Ash Dark as Night by Gary Phillips. The True Story of Slavery, United States Governed by 600,000 Despots by John Swanson Jacobs. Black Intellectuals and Black Society, Martin L. Kirsten, with a forward by Cornel West and James Fugate.
And also on the Martin McKilson, this book was almost completed at the time Martin passed. Mm-hmm. And they were able to complete it from his notes and everything. So it's now just being published, even though Kilson passed away, I think in 2019. Mm-hmm. The last book I have, physical book I have, is 3 Shades of Blue. It's out right now. It's Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Bill Evans, and the Lost Empire of Cool. It's James Kaplan. It's a big book, but it's that time period. It really captures the incredible records that are made in that time period. Kinda Blue is regularly thought of as the greatest jazz album of all time. And it's the best, to me, it's the best way to get into what is real jazz. You listen to Kinda Blue and you listen to some of the other people that call themselves jazz artists, and you begin to understand the difference. Kinda Blue is a masterpiece. John Coltrane's first, for some reason, I've been listening to Coltrane's first LP on Atlantic Records twice in the last couple weeks, and that's surprising. But
you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with Train.
And then even Bill Evans. I became a fan of Bill Evans over time. I thought he was a little too cool as a piano player to me. On Kinda Blue, his solos don't move me the way an artist like Red Garland did when he was with Miles. But Bill Evans was pretty strong. So those are the books that are out right now. And I do have some titles that we can do pretty quick, as they say, in a lightning round. If we have time.
You got 20 seconds to give me 3 or 4 of them, right quick.
The Unseen Truth, When Race Changed Sight in America. A new book on Malcolm called Malcolm Before X, on his 6 years in prison. The 1619, A Visual Experience, powerful book. Ta-Nehisi Coates, His new book is coming. It is called The Message. It looks at 3 different communities around the world. Collective Courage, a new book, not a new book, but a new edition of a classic book that's on the history of African American cooperative education. And the last one is Searching for Dr. Harris, The Life and Times of a Remarkable American Physician from the Civil War through Reconstruction. So those books are coming in the fall. You can't miss on any of them.
You can't miss on any of them, and you can't miss on anything that we've laid out today in this conversation. James Fugate always knows how to curate a great reading list. I'm out of time, but I thank you for the books. I thank you for the suggestions. Good to see you, James. We'll do it again,
Same
my friend.
here. Okay. Thank
More
you.
of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the line for the joint Biden-Harris ticket will go before the FEC commissioners. Donald Trump's presidential campaign claims that Harris deceptively snatched